What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Friday, February 18th, 2022. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside GameSpot's Jordan Ramey. Hello, Jordan.
What up, what up? You said my last name right. I'm so proud of you, Greg.
You know, you said before you listened to the show, so you know that I'm a moron. And on top of that all I ever want to do is get people's names right. And so it just gets in my head that I get them wrong. So I had already talked to Blessing about how to say your last name. I had spelled it out phonetically. When you got here, I verified it was right. You're like, yep, that's it. You got it. And I was like, cool. I'm probably going to screw it up. Like, I'm going to try not to. It's just that I'm a stupid idiot. You know what I mean? Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing great. I got Horizon code in, playing Horizon. Looking forward to that for the entire weekend.
That's just gonna be your life?
Yeah, pretty much.
Excellent.
I mean, I have to get through it before Elden Ring comes out, and that's coming out in a week.
It's a tall order. Yeah, you got to pedal to the metal over there. Jordan, if people don't know you, what do you do at GameSpot?
I am principally a news and features guy over at GameSpot. I am the person who gets handed a lot of open world games to cover. I'm also pretty much like the big Apex Legends guy.
Ooh, no wonder Blessing likes you so much.
GameSpot.
No wonder Blessing likes you so much.
It's a great game. It's a great game, Greg. Everyone should be playing Apex Legends.
Here's the question we were talking about the other day. I think it was me and Nick. Maybe it was me and Gary. Is it too late to jump in to Apex Legends? Is it one of those things where you're just going to get clowned out? Everybody's been playing for 900 years. They know everything.
Well, do you care about story, Greg? When it comes to your shooters, do you care about story? Because in terms of story, it might be too late for you.
Okay.
I mean, it's still a great battle royale. They currently have a limited time control mode that's very beginner friendly, kind of very team deathmatch, get you like used to playing as all the characters before jumping into battle royale and arenas. Like, I mean, it is always a good time to jump into Apex. You just might have no idea why some of the characters are like fighting with each other.
That wouldn't stop me. I mean, you know, the original Titanfall I was such a huge fan of, in that it didn't even have a story, right? That was just getting to your mech and go punch the other guy in the face. So that was fine. So I got no problem there. Yeah, Titanfall is great. I know. Titanfall 2, where were you? You know what I mean? Everybody got so distracted. You couldn't.
Everyone was playing Battlefield and Call of Duty, and I'm just sitting in the Titanfall 2 servers like, come on, everyone, like, amped hardpoint.
And then everybody out there on the internet, they pulled the same kind of shit they pulled with the Vita, where they came late. Oh, I bought it on sale for $9. The story campaign was great. Man, Titanfall 2 was great. Yeah, it was, and you killed it.
I mean, I feel like Titanfall 2 is like a step above the Vita, you know, like in terms of like something that was really important that people kind of missed out on.
Titanfall 2 was more important than the Vita. Is that what you're saying right now?
Titanfall 2 is more important than the Vita, is what we're going to say right now.
Man. Oh, man.
I think that should be Kinda Funny's official stance on Titanfall and the Vita.
Mere days before the Vita's 10th birthday, this is how you're going to treat it, Jordan. This is what you're going to do to it.
Look,
Titanfall didn't have Freedom Wars.
I'm principally an Xbox guy, so I look at like the PSP, the PS Vita. I'm like, I mean, sure, it's great. That's fine. I can currently play like all my Xbox games right now on my phone.
You just come in here and you talk about shooters. No wonder you're the Xbox guy. I'm sorry, bro. Let me get you some Mountain Dew and some Dead or Alive volleyball if that's all you care about. You don't have any taste, Jordan. Why did they even give you Horizon? That's the thing, Kevin. Good on Shuhei Yoshida over there in Herman Hulse for having, the turn the other cheek attitude. Because somebody like Jordan shows up here talking shit about Vita, I deactivate the PSN account. I'm going to say, I don't even want you covering our games, all right? I don't want you playing them. Go play Fusion Frenzy again.
Fusion Frenzy? Like that's what you're bringing?
That's what I got. That's what I got in the Xbox annals of history right now, Jordan. It's Friday. It's been a long week, and it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate a PlayStation franchise, Horizon. That's right. It's Horizon Forbidden West Day, and we have all sorts of news for you. On top of that, you should be playing a new Dragon Age in the next 18 months, and we have a date for Majora's Mask coming to your Nintendo Switch. Jordan and I are going to talk about all that and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that and want to be part of the show, patreon.com/kindafunnygames to get your questions read, to get the show ad-free, to get it with the exclusive post show, and get a bevy of benefits that would allow you to watch the Kinda Funny Xcast record live this afternoon, ad-free with the post show, etc., etc., etc. But if you have no bucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. You can go to youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe each and every weekday to get a brand spanking new episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily. Of course, you wouldn't be able to write in. Of course, you wouldn't be getting it ad-free. Of course, you wouldn't get the post show, but you still have a damn good time, just like everybody watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames are right now. Of course, if you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later. If that wasn't enough to support Kinda Funny, remember, you can use our Epic Creator Code on the Epic Game Store. Kinda Funny, all one word. If you're not a PC player, remember when you're playing that Fortnite, getting that Nathan Drake skin from a great PlayStation franchise that was on the PlayStation Vita, Uncharted Golden Abyss? Use that Uncharted. Use the Kinda Funny code, not the Uncharted code. Don't give them any more money. Give us the money on PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, wherever you're playing your Epic games. Housekeeping for you, like I said, it's Horizon Forbidden West Day, and we are celebrating here, of course, with a whole bunch of news about Horizon Forbidden West. And then after this stream, I am going to boot up my save that is post the campaign and go through and start working on my platinum. Spoilers will be incredibly light. Most side quests don't talk about the main story at all, so you should be fine to check it out. But if you want to stay completely free, stay away from it. And then you could always come back and watch it later on youtube.com/kindafunnyplays, our newest channel. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Gordon McGuire, James Davis, a.k.a. at James Davis Makes, Pranksky, Manny the Bagel Boy Sanchez, and Blackjack. Today we're brought to you by Upstart and Green Chef, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 7 items on the Roper Report.
Baker's dozen.
Jordan, like I said, it's Horizon Day. We have a bunch of Horizon stories to start at the top, but you said you got your Horizon code at what time?
3 a.m.
And how late you stay up playing it?
Does it count as staying up when you like just never really go to sleep?
God, Jordan, you're insatiable, and I love it. What are your first impressions? Actually, dial me back a second. What did you think of Zero Dawn? Were you a huge Zero Dawn fan?
I was a very big Zero Dawn fan until Breath of the Wild came out, and then I went back to Zero Dawn. Became a very big fan of Zero Dawn again.
Gotcha.
And it was one of those games, though, that I think I enjoyed the story that was kind of happening, the lore, and like uncovering the mysteries a lot more than I was enjoying the side quests and just Aloy as a character. Nothing against Ashley Birch, phenomenal voice actor. I just felt like Aloy was a little boring in the first game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I loved the story, and it was one of those that when I went back to it the summer of that year after my hype for Breath of the Wild had died down, I was like, oh damn, the twists and turns in this are really good.
So then 3 a.m. rolls around, you boot this up. What are your first impressions?
Man, this is a beautiful, beautiful game, man.
Yeah. Now, are you doing performance or resolution? That seems to be the big conversation.
Performance. It has to be performance. Resolution is great. It looks really pretty in all the cutscenes, but I need all those frames. I need to be able to dodge enemy strikes with such precision. But yeah, like great game. I think I'm still more in love with all the characters around Aloy than Aloy herself. But this is the first, I think, open world RPG in a very long time that I'm actually enjoying, like doing a lot of the side quests and not just blasting straight through the campaign like I did for Valhalla and most of Ghost of Tsushima. Like, not to say that those games had bad side quests, but I'm actually more interested in playing the side quests for this game. And climbing feels so much better in Forbidden West than it did in Zero Dawn.
Yeah, the game's something truly special. You know, I can't wait to stream more of it today, but on top of that, just play for probably another, 20 or 30 hours as I work on this platinum or whatever, because I, for the review, went so golden path to try to make sure I hit the end of the story and go. But I digress. More Horizon to talk about. Let's get into the news about it. Number one, it turns out Horizon was delayed to avoid crunch. This is Hope Bellingham over at GamesRadar.com. The director of Horizon Forbidden West has said that part of the reason for the game's original delay was due to wanting to avoid crunch at the studio. In an interview with NU.NL, Horizon Forbidden West director Matthias de Jong talked about the reasoning behind the game's delay last year, revealing, quote, he says Forbidden West, but it's Horizon. Forbidden West might have been released at the end of last year, but then we might have had to work overtime. That also played a part in the decision to release the game now. Elsewhere in the interview, the director revealed more about Guerrilla Games' work culture, explaining, quote, "We are very aware of the disadvantages of crunching, so we take that into account in a lot of our planning. To give an example, at Christmas, we said that there would be no work and everyone could just have a 2-week vacation. The company was closed. You couldn't even go there to work," end quote. Jordan, this is one of those ones that I bring up because I think we talk about crunch so many times when you hear people are crunching. And then
the bad part of it.
there's not the stories of people aren't crunching, right? And I appreciate them coming out and having this conversation and talking about, hey, we made this game that so many people are giving 9s, 10s, great scores, and saying we delayed it on purpose, and PlayStation being okay with that. Like, I think we need to celebrate that more, Jordan.
Yeah, 100%. Like, more developers should just be coming out. Like, granted, they have to actually not be crunching. Like, you have to actually like do that step. You can't just come out and be like, oh yeah, our company didn't crunch, and then all the
designers are like,
come out and
actually,
well, actually, I stayed up until like 2 a.m. working on this aspect of the game. But I mean, this is just a great story. It's wonderful to see a game be awarded 8s, 9s, some 5 out of 5, some 10 out of 10s, and then hear a story of like, oh, and by the way, the people who made this game didn't bust their asses over the holiday season. They actually went home and enjoyed time with their families. I'm like, that's great. Like, why can't everyone?
What a novel concept. What a novel concept, right? Yeah, exactly. And it actually leads to a question that I see going off already over in the live chat, where Edwin Riverer 121 says, between Insomniac and Guerrilla, this could be a great trend for bigger studios at PlayStation like Naughty Dog. And that leads us to the question that was submitted at patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames by Takibi, who wrote in and said, another example of a Sony studio prioritizing the lives of their developers over corporate interests, the other being Insomniac. This is a very good trend in the industry, especially at such a large studio. I feel as though Naughty Dog is the outlier here, parentheses, even recently in an interview last year where they dodged questions on unions and crunch. Do you think this will force the studio to change track now? If it doesn't, what will? Jordan, do you see this having a trickle-down effect? Or I guess trickle-up effect, obviously, since Naughty Dog is inarguably the top of the PlayStation studio pile.
It's hard to say. It's one of those weird things where I never want to endorse like monopolies forming and a bunch of corporations getting together, but there is like the silver lining that you hope that if one company has very good policies and it owns a bunch of other companies, that those good policies will trickle down to the other studios. And so you would hope that Sony itself would be like, hey, we want all of our studios to not be like, we want a story that happened like with Insomniac and now with Guerrilla to come out for all of our games
100%.
For the rest of time. And so we're going to work really hard to make sure that none of our first party studios are crunching. Naughty Dog is just like in this weird space where I would love for them to not crunch. I almost wonder though if they're like kind of in like this space where Sony is like, we just kind of let them do whatever they want because the games that they make do so well for us that like, if it's their prerogative to crunch, who are we to stop them? And I don't want to cast like any shade on Sony or anything like that, but it might be like one of those things where they're like letting each of their own studios do their own thing to play to their strengths. And Naughty Dog's strength is putting out incredible, beautiful experiences like consistently.
Of course, yeah, they're putting out Game of the Year consistently, I think, right? And that's arguable, obviously, but you can sit there and we can't argue the fact of how good Last of Us 2 is and how good all these different games that Naughty's putting out is. The question here from Takibi is, what lens do you want to put on it? And I think you got onto a lot of the different parts when I read into it. I think, inarguably, the winds have shifted in the video game industry. Crunch is bad. Everyone knows that. And you can't push people beyond their limits without knowing there's going to be a story from Jason Schreier, without knowing that somebody is going to report on it. And that the part of the industry that's us, and I don't mean us, the host, you and me, Jordan, I mean us, the video game fans that are this dialed into caring about who makes their games and caring about them having a good life. We're only going to get more and more upset as time goes on. You hear about people being taken advantage of, right? So at the very least, I know I would think you're gonna see Naughty Dog get better about it. It went through in the chat that Neil Druckmann had done some kind of tweet somewhere in there of saying that they were already addressing studio culture. What does that mean? Nobody really knows unless you're working there. But
I'm about to say that doesn't mean anything. Like,
it does
we need
mean that they're paying
examples.
attention, right? It does mean that they have to change it. And so then it's like changing it, sure. But then I also like my knee-jerk reaction, you even remove Naughty Dog from this, but put random ass studios in there, random ass people, right? Like, does this force them to change track? It definitely forces them, I think, to get media training on how to address this stuff, right? Because it did. I remember when the union question came up, and I think it was Evan, right? It was Evan Wells from Naughty Dog, whose answer was like, oof, that didn't hit it. That wasn't what you wanted. That's not how you should have. Like, you knew this question was going to come up. That's the best you could do for an answer on it. And so it's a push and a pull, but I'm with you in the more positive PR side of it, that yes, I would think PlayStation is like, hey, look at how much praise they're getting, these two studios for doing this, and look at them delaying it. Not to mention PlayStation wants to be that studio of, hey, cool, when your game's done, it's done. That's when you go out. Don't push yourselves too far. Don't push yourselves too hard. It's in the same vein of, like, I think the PlayStation planting a tree for every one of the trophies that gets hit in that, the Dauntless trophy, or the Daunt trophy that gets hit in Horizon. I think that's a really cool move, and I would hope that when it makes sense narratively, they do more stuff like that for what they're doing with games.
It's good PR, and it makes PlayStation seem very attractive if at any point in the future they're like, let's buy another studio. And studios are like, oh yeah, if we partner up with PlayStation, we know that they'll treat us right, and they're not going to be like, look, you got to get this game out in the next 6 years. Like, come hell or high water, it has to come out.
It pushes the narrative of what PlayStation Studios is, right? We keep talking about it, of like, they are these single player AAA games that are these blockbuster pieces of art. That's what they want to be seen as, right? And I think the narrative of, it's done when it's done. We'd love to have it out at whatever, but if God of War Ragnarok is going to slip to next year, totally cool. We'll be fine. Everything's going to be okay.
The hope, the dream.
The dream.
I really hope that's the case.
Yeah. I don't want anybody crunching over there. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't imagine Alana being any more stressed out than she already is. Number two on the Roper report. Horizon had to make load screens a little bit longer, kind of, to read the tips. We're going to go to Engadget, where Ingram has this report. There's another interview with Matthias from the game director that we were just talking to at the very top of this, or studio director. What's his title? Yeah, the director of Horizon Forbidden West. We join the article in progress. Like most games specifically built for the PS5, Horizon Forbidden West loads quickly thanks to the console's built-in SSD. But with such a massive map to explore, near instantaneous loading, parentheses like when you fast travel, is a huge quality of life improvement. But Van de Leeuwen, this is actually somebody else. It started with Matthias Billing switched over. Kevin, can you pull this up for me and get me the full name on who we're quoting here? Said these optimizations are more than just having a fast drive. Quote, you don't realize how easily games are bottlenecked, he said. If you run a PC game on a very fast SSD, it doesn't automatically load in like 7 seconds. There's so much work we had to do, end quote. The end result is a game so quick that the development team had to revamp its tips to appear on the loading screens. Quote, in Horizon Zero Dawn, we called it fast travel, but it could take maybe a minute to actually load, De Jong said. With the PS5, it's maybe 4 or 5 seconds. It loads so quickly that players can't even read the hints, end quote. But from testing, Guerrilla knew that players came to rely on these hints, so they decided to slow things down just a bit. We had to add a very simple feature where it hangs on the load screen for enough time that you can actually read at least one hint while it loads. Of course, people who want to speed through things can just mash X or turn off the pause in settings so that the game loads up as fast as possible. So number one, a kooky little story. There's like so much to do here. I don't know how much you've gotten into it yet.
Yeah. One of the things I think this is hilarious. I've gotten a fair way into it. I've gotten to make a Dragon Age, I guess, comparison to it. I am at the end of the hinterlands, I think, portion of the game. Okay. I have reached the part where I'm trying to get through a wall.
For me, what I love about this is that there's so many things to take out of it. I know, obviously, Forbidden West just hitting everybody today. The tip screens are actually helpful in this game. I've played so many fucking games that are just terrible with their tip screens. They're literally like, shoot an enemy for damage. Like, why would that be helpful? What are you talking about? Don't forget to switch your weapons. Like, what?
Look at you, Assassin's Creed. Looking at you.
Right? And so, like, Horizon Forbidden West actually has great contextual stuff where when I would get killed by an enemy, I would get the tip screen that's like, hey, this is what that enemy's weak to. So maybe try that. And if I kept redying, it would be, especially that final boss, there was the thing like, hey, there is a thing if you want to that we make an automatic save that's before the boss. So you could go and level up if you wanted to. I thought it was something very rare for video games, even in 2022. The other thing I love about, other than just the quirky goofiness of this, is the fact that it calls out, of course, if you haven't played yet, it is that it's not forcing you to look at the screen longer. It's just making you click X to go through. I love that there is a setting to turn that off. So when you are deep into the game, 38 hours or whatever, you can be like, you know what? I don't need to hang on the tip screen. Just load me back instantaneously.
Yeah. I think the story is hilarious. Like, because this game loads really fast. Like, it's practically ready to go before I can't even reach into my pocket to pull out my phone to quickly doom scroll through Twitter by the time I'm fast traveling to a new location. And so I'm like, I should just turn off this setting so it just loads instantly. But like you said, the tips are so helpful. And like I've only died like a few times because I'm only in the first area, so it hasn't gotten to the really super difficult, like make sure you set up all your traps and plan everything out like portion of the game. But and this is by and far so much faster than Zero Dawn. I love it. I think the story is hilarious that the new consoles are just so much more powerful than the PS4 and Xbox One, where that game developers are like, look, we spent a whole console generation coming up with a system where we would include tips like on loading screens to like give the player something to do, that now we don't know where to put these tips now. We have no backup plan for this because the load screens just aren't there anymore.
And it's funny because I have played other games on PlayStation 5 and I'm struggling to remember them off the top of my head, but do they load in and I can't read the screen? Maybe it was Dying Light where they load so fast now, and it is that there's like a tip or a recap or whatever, and it just goes automatically. And I'm like, I don't know what that said. I don't even know what that meant.
I think Dying Light and I think Assassin's Creed Valhalla are both games that load fast enough on the new consoles that you just can't read the tips. And I'm like, someone's job was to write this.
I know. Dude, don't even get me started on it. The amount of times, like, I'm such a snob too in Forbidden West where I scan the collectible, and if it isn't a voice thing that I can play, I'm like, no, I'm not going to read that. I don't need this email. And I'm like, yeah, I can just see the people at Guerrilla working, slaving away at it for years.
Someone worked hard on that, Greg.
I know they did, but I want to go shoot the monster, and I want to listen to the story rather than...
They should have read it to us.
They should have read it to me, Kevin. Kevin, speaking of reading it to me, you have it pulled up over here for the first reference of the name. This is in a conversation with Engadget game director Matthias, we are talking about, and technical director Michael Vander Lewis. It's low quality, so now I don't remember. It's Michael. Oh, I'll do that, and I'll come over here and I'll go Michael, and then I'll get the top over here.
How's that?
Michael Liu. Okay, there you go. We got everybody in. Everybody's names are in. Congratulations. Good job, Guerrilla. But we're not done yet. Speaking of congratulations, number 3. This is just a fun one. I like, Kevin, if you want to throw these up at your leisure. Nowadays, when PlayStation Studios, one of them puts out a game, the other PlayStation Studios make art to celebrate that, featuring their games. And so we have a whole bunch of different ones here. Tweets from Naughty Dog. As you can see, we have Aloy, Ellie, back to back, ready to go fight some stuff. There you go. Thank you, Kevin. You got the Reds, you got the Blues, you got San Francisco in the back. Of course, very much in the Last of Us amazing art style. Sony Santa Monica usually goes more cartoony with theirs. As you click on that one, Kev, yeah, there you go. You got Aloy showing her bow to Atreus, Kratos looking on happily. Mimir smelling Kratos' ass as always. It's true.
Yeah, I guess. I didn't think about it, though.
Pixel Opus giving us a nice concrete genie homage here. Of course, with the genie, with the kid whose name escapes me right now.
John.
I'm going to call him Cade, but that's not right. I forget what the kid's name was. Sucker Punch has Jin Sakai dropping in with Aloy to go kick some ass from the Golden Gate Bridge. Big fan of that one, too. Big fan of that one.
That's dope. That's dope.
Media Molecule went a different way, of course. And instead of just doing something, they built a scene in Dreams here. Oh, there you go. Looks like Connie and Mega Penguin got a bit carried away when they said dress for the occasion. They're in there fighting, as always. Dreams going the extra step to be creative. And then Sony Bend had theirs up to today of the one, the only Deacon St. John riding alongside on his Harley alongside Aloy as she takes on her machine stuff. Those are the ones I caught this morning. Obviously, there's more PlayStation Studios. If you're a PlayStation Studio and I missed it, I'm sorry. But also, how can a sentient studio be listening to me? Yeah, be up in the morning earlier. You know what I mean? That's what I caught. That's what I saw.
I love these. These are always great. I always look forward to when a new PlayStation game is coming out just to see how the other studios are going to try to capture that game's character in their own art 100%. Style. This is so clever. I love it. It could, for all I know, just be like the cynical part of me is like, maybe this is just like a Sony PlayStation marketing stunt and they like tell their studios beforehand like to do this. But the part of me that likes to believe that there's good in this world is like everyone's just doing this out of like the kindness of their heart and support for their fellow studio, and that's the story I'm gonna go with.
BKD chat was shouting out that there is an Insomniac one. I'm slacking it to you, not
No,
Assets.
they
Right
should
to
have
you.
woken up earlier. You know what I mean?
They should have. I mean, they were up at 8:40. No, I guess that was later than when I built it. But no, here's what I think, and I have no data or information on the inside about this. From what it looks like to me, I think initially it was an actually organic thing where I forget. I remember when this first would start happening or first started that I remember seeing them and it being them, and they're like, oh, and then other people joined in, and I think once that first round hit, then I don't even know if it was it probably was PlayStation, but I'm sure it was also just the developers going like, hey, this did really well for us. We should do this every time. And actually taking this time to
we get
go
great engagement on this.
Who would have thought that people like us
on
hanging out? You know what I mean? Who would have thought we're all hanging out and having fun and like that would be cool. And I'm a big fan of these. I love these. Obviously, that's why I'm calling them out. I'm also a huge fan whenever you see Phil Spencer tweet about it. You know what I mean? Or like he's excited, or Aaron Greenberg or anybody like that. When you see these like stupid console wars that really we only foster for you to go argue with Snowbike Mike about, when they actually leads to something cool happening with the games on Twitter and people actually being people. But enough about people being people. Let's talk about more video games that aren't Horizon. But first, let me talk about patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames. Over on patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, of course, you can go right in to be part of the show. You can get the show ad-free, and you can get it with the exclusive post show we do each and every weekday. However, you're not on patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames. So here's a word from our sponsor. Think of all the things you could do and all the places you could go if you didn't have high interest loans or credit card debt. Upstart helps make those dreams a reality by helping you pay off your existing debt quickly with a personal loan. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. Whether you're paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Upstart knows you're more than just your credit score and is expanding access to affordable credit. Unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute rate check, you can see your rate upfront for your loans between $1,000 and $50,000 and receive your funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/kindafunny. That's upstart.com/kindafunny. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/kindafunny. Green Chef is the greenest way to get your greens. It's the most sustainable meal kit out there, offsetting 100% of their plastic packaging in every box and 100% of their carbon footprint and emissions. Their pre-portioned ingredients mean you reduce your food waste by at least 25% compared to boring old grocery shopping. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well, with options for every lifestyle like keto and paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, Mediterranean, and gluten-free. I'm Greg Miller, and I use Green Chef. They just sent me a box the other day. We had these Greek pitas. They were delicious. You cut them in half, and you put all the delicious stuff in there. Came in a brown bag. You open up the brown bag, take out all these other brown bags, then you recycle it all, then you eat this delicious food. It's great. Why wouldn't you do this? Go to greenchef.com/kindafunny130 and use the code kindafunny130 to get $130 off plus free shipping. That's greenchef.com/kindafunny130 and code kindafunny130 to get $130 off plus free shipping. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Enough about that Horizon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Dragon Age 4 for our 4th story. Just like I drew it up, I didn't switch this from the #1 slot to #4. Dragon Age 4 might be coming in the next 18 months. We go to Tom Phillips at Eurogamer, who writes, development on BioWare's next big Dragon Age game is going well, and it should see release in the next 18 months. That's according to a fresh report on the game's production by VentureBeat Games journalist Jeffy Grubb. That's right, Jeff Grubb from Grub Snacks, which pegged its release in late 2023. Last month, reports appeared to rule out a 2022 release for the new Dragon Age, something which had, once upon a time, originally been in the cards. BioWare's follow-up to Dragon Age Inquisition has been in some form of development since at least 2017, when an early draft of its story was being written. But the game has had several setbacks and reboots as staff changed, and as the vision for the project settled back into its single-player role-playing game roots after the failure of online multiplayer experiment Anthem. tell you what, Jordan. I think you're after the failure of online multiplayer experiment Anthem is such a kind way to put it. Because it's like, oh, this was an experiment. This wasn't a boxed game. They made a big deal. This is they took a shot. They just did something.
Yeah, that's the nicest way I think I've ever heard someone refer to just the absolute shit show that was Anthem. Like, just that game. Oh man, I was so excited for it. And then when I finally got hands on during a preview, I'm like, oh, I don't think they're actually gonna make it. And then the review started coming out. I'm like, yeah.
They did not make it.
Yeah.
This did not go down the way we all thought it was going to go down. That sucks for them. Yeah. Dragon Age 4. Does that get you going? That get you excited?
When everything comes down, for me, BioWare has always been more like the Mass Effect studio than the Dragon Age studio, which doesn't mean that I dislike Dragon Age. I thought Origins was great. I never really got into 2, and I actually really liked the characters in Inquisition, which got me through that game in, what was that, 2014, 2015? God, it's been so long.
That was a long time ago.
But yeah, Dragon Age 4, it's 18 months. So that's what, like, Augusty of 2023 is the guesstimation.
Yeah, a year and 6 months from now, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Like, we
what a ringing endorsement.
We haven't seen anything about Dragon Age 4 except for like pictures of what some characters look like, and like confirmation of where the game's taking place, a setting that has not existed in any of the existing 3 Dragon Age games. So it's kind of just one of those things where I'm like, okay, what is this, BioWare? You gave us Mass Effect Andromeda. You gave us Anthem. You've given us a lot of games that are very different from the RPGs that you made in the past. What does Dragon Age 4 even look like? You've told us, like, don't worry, there's going to be no online multiplayer, like nothing like that. I'm like,
I learned a lot from our experiment.
What's the mechanics of this game? Like, who are you playing as? What can you do? Like, who are your
all of that,
companions?
everything you just said, though, and I'm not a Dragon Age guy. Like, I'm not a big fantasy guy in that world or whatever. But everything you just said gets me excited for it, because you have to imagine everybody there and everybody working on this project, and even EA have to be like, we got to restore the BioWare name. So, like, let's give them a BioWare RPG that they want, not one that we're trying to experiment with or do something different with. Let's actually go through and try to nail this. And granted, that's a lot of pressure, and maybe they crumple under it, but I also think it is the greatest chance you can get to getting back to what people loved about what they loved about Mass Effect, what they loved about Dragon Age.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm a Mass Effect Andromeda apologist. Like, I get bullied at GameSpot like all the time over the fact that I actually kind of enjoy Mass Effect Andromeda.
Andromeda is such a weird one, dude, because like it was the bugs that killed it. Like, like check the story at the door. Like, what was the thing everybody talked about at the launch? Facial animations, the bugs wigging out, yada, yada, yada. And so you never even had the conversation. It reminds me a lot about Cyberpunk, where there then wasn't even a conversation about how the story was. Because I had been playing it, and I didn't run into a lot of bugs for it. And I was enjoying it enough, but then just, something else came off and I tapered, I was done. And so then I want to say early part of the pandemic in 2020, I had a free spot and I was looking for an RPG, and I put it back. I restarted Andromeda, started playing, and then the same thing happened. I think Andromeda's real fault is that it just didn't have any teeth. I didn't get hooked in by anything to really want to stay with it. But its killing blow at the front was the fact that it looked like a game that had no business being released yet, because then no business being released yet.
So fingers crossed that Dragon Age 4 learns from Anthem, learns from Andromeda, and goes back to the heyday of BioWare. I would love to see an RPG like that again. Something I can just get lost in and fall in love with a character like Garrus or Thane, who's like, this guy's my bro. I just want to do everything with them. I want to go on these crazy adventures, and it's been a while since I've had an RPG like that, and BioWare was like the king at it. And so
I'm gonna be interested when you get done with Horizon. Hit me up about that, because that was one of our big thing in the review. Is like, we like, I would go maybe even as far as we love the surrounding cast around Aloy, but it gets so close to being a Mass Effect 2. Let's go do these things, and then it doesn't nail it. And so it's like, all right, cool. They're cool characters and I enjoy hearing them talk, but it's not like I'm having for me, it would be like a Jack or a Jacob or a Miranda moment, right? Or a Mort. Like, I don't have those kind of memories with these people. I'm like, oh, Aaron's cool. Varl's cool. I like them. Yeah, they're neat. Like, that's cool. But I'm not like, fuck, whatever they need, let's go. I'll stop everything to go do this. Like,
I will stop saving the world to do your personal quest right
Jack's
here.
Like,
right
I
now.
need your help. We need to go to my old orphanage or whatever, the experiment. I'm like, let's go, Jack. Let's go. I don't care about any of the other stuff that's happening with the suicide mission.
Right now. We'll plant the nuke right now.
We're going. Joker, plat the course. Meanwhile, this one, the joke I kept saying in the review and on other reviews has been like, no spoilers, at the end of the game when it's like, all right, cool. We're going to go off on this big mission, like get everything you need to do before then. And then it's like optional, talk to your group. And I was like, yeah. So I walked up and I talked to the first two of them. Like, none of you are saying anything interesting. Let's just go. Let's just go. Come on. Let's go fight them. Let's go fight everything. We got to go fight. We'll see. 18 months is going to go by fast, obviously. So we'll see when Dragon Age 4 actually happens. And remember, if it doesn't happen in 18 months, you are all free to give Jeff Grubb shit for another 18 months. So that is the rule. Number 5 on the Roper Report, Retro Studios changed its Twitter banner. What? It's news, ladies and gentlemen. It's news. We go to Eddie over at GameSpot.
Then it's definitely news.
It's definitely
from the number one gaming website of all time.
Yeah, number 5, Elden Ring side, but no big deal. Retro Studios, the Texas-based Metroid developer owned by Nintendo, has updated its Twitter banner image, prompting some to believe news might be brewing about the series, and specifically Metroid Prime 4. Some people seem to be of the idea that this is, in fact, the first proper image of Metroid Prime 4, though that is not confirmed. To date, Nintendo has only shown the logo for Metroid Prime 4, and that happened years ago, so fans are understandably eager for any piece of news they can get. The image shows a character that appears to be Samus standing in the middle of a deep, dark hallway. There is light shining down from the ceiling, and overall, the image looks very foreboding. Metroid Prime 4 was originally announced at E3 2017 and was reportedly in the works at Bandai Namco. In 2019, Nintendo announced that development shifted to Retro Studios, noting that at the time, quote, the current development progress has not reached the standards we seek in a sequel to the Metroid Prime series, end quote. Due to the change, development on Metroid Prime 4 was restarted from the beginning at Retro, and the project's release was delayed, though a date has never been announced. Jordan, do you care about Metroid Prime 4?
I love the Metroid Prime trilogy, and I would love to play Metroid Prime 4. I think this is just someone changing their banner image on Twitter.
Why would they do it? The news must be coming, Jordan.
Look, I am a Hollow Knight Silk Song guy.
Oh my God.
I've been waiting.
How many crosses do you bear,
years.
Jordan?
I have been a clown at every single Nintendo Direct for 3 years straight, waiting for a snippet, a 1-second clip of Hollow Knight Silk Song. So, this is the cross I bear. Metroid, I love Metroid. Metroid Fusion was one of the games that I played the most as a kid, and I have loved Samus's adventures ever since. I was so excited when we got that Metroid Prime 4 teaser. I'm not quite sure where they go with the story of those games. I'm not even sure if Nintendo should care, considering how loose the story and lore of the Metroid games is.
I mean, they put the 4 on it, they have to care, right? I'm more, when are we getting a Metroid Prime trilogy for Switch? Because my story with Prime goes that my roommate Kyle in college had the GameCube, and this is how old I am, of course. And when he got Prime, I would sit there and watch him play Prime, but I never played Prime. So I'd be totally down to run through and do the trilogy before the 4th one drops.
Well, you see, Greg, the eShop for the 3DS and Wii U is actually still active, so Nintendo has no reason yet to sell you that trilogy on Switch when they can sell you those games on the Wii U to then pull that eShop from you and then sell the trilogy to you again on
I've been very clear to
Switch.
Nintendo I will not buy anything on the Wii U ever, period. Not even recently. So they know that that's gone. They already sold me Mario Kart Deluxe. They already sold me Smash Brothers Ultimate. You can put this one out. You can give me a Prime Ultimate, Trilogy Ultimate.
I would love that. I would love that so much.
It's gotta happen. Nintendo loves not making new shit and just repackaging old shit. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, but I've also been saying that about Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on Switch for years, and it hasn't happened yet.
Fair enough.
One day.
We'll see. I mean, I agree. It is just them updating their banner, but they're updating their banner because hey, eventually they're going to talk about Metroid Prime 4, so that's neat. So all you Metroid Prime fans, there you go. Keep playing Dread. Go get the new hard difficulty or the new easy difficulty, depending on who you are.
Do
I'm
not
easy
play the hard
difficulty.
difficulty. It's too difficult. It's too hard. Trying to
Yeah.
go through that game without getting hit once is
No way.
impossible.
I read all the reviews and saw all our friends talking about it, and I was like, oh man, this is probably the kind of gameplay that'll make me bash my head on the wall. So then they're like, we're putting easy mode in. I'm like, oh, maybe I will try Metroid Prime now. It's on the Switch, ready to go. Let's do it. Flying to dice next week. What am I going to play? Let's find out. Let's go to number 6 on the Roper Report. This is a short one. I don't think it was breaking news yesterday while the guys were live. I don't think it actually made it on the show, but if it did, act like it didn't. And this is news here. The Last of Us HBO show is not coming out this year. We go to the Hollywood Reporter where Lesley Goldberg is talking to Casey Bloys, the HBO and HBO Max programming chief. Lesley says, when can we expect The Last of Us? This year or 2023? Casey says, The Last of Us is shooting right now in Canada. We haven't announced an air date yet, but it's not 2022. They're still shooting in Calgary. So that's surprising. Yeah, I thought for sure we are getting it in 2022.
I was willing to bet money that we would have gotten it like sometime this year. Although maybe I'm still kind of like buying into the assumption. I'm like, they might just do a remake of the original Last of Us, and if that's coming out in 2023, then releasing the TV show alongside that game would be pretty smart. But yeah, 2023,
It's closer than you think it is. It's time's a flat circle. You know what I mean? I do need to go into the live chat here on Twitch where Nanobiologist says they did cover. He says they covered it, saying they covered this a few stories ago or days ago. And I need to tell you, Nanobiologist, I was very fucking clear. Pretend like they didn't. I said if it has been covered, I said pretend like it didn't. And I see a lot of people going through a Don stands alone says act like they didn't. Chat. See, it's not hard. A lot of people understood. Yeah. There you go. Falcon 4196 says OMG, this is totally new information.
It was very clear instructions. It
was very simple on how we do this. Yeah, I'm surprised, and I had been saying that I thought in the build up to the show that you'd kind of get a Last of Us year, the year of The Last of Us, where you would get Last of Us Remastered, you would get factions, you would get the show. They would probably get director's cut for Last of Us Part 2. Maybe that's all bundled together in one kind of thing. I wonder if that means that stuff might actually happen in 2023 too. Because I think you want that out ready to go when people are watching the show. So when they're enjoying the show, they can buy the game on PlayStation 5, which hopefully is available in 2023, which probably won't be,
Yeah. But who knows? We'll see. I guess then... the new Halo show coming out this year? I guess is that the exciting movie, TV show, video game adaptation?
Exciting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're gonna watch that. Like,
shooty, you know what I mean?
They spent how much on this?
And Kevin's not even. Kevin's Mr. TV show guy, and he doesn't even care about it.
Nah, I have no interest.
Well,
number 7.
It'll be good. Not enough to make me subscribe to Paramount Plus for the rest of my life, but enough to sign up for the free trial. But
what if I told you they also had that Star Trek show? You know what I mean? Discovery. That's a good show.
That one's pretty fucking good. That one's pretty good.
I dropped off in season 2, not because it wasn't interesting, just because I got away.
I don't need another subscription for 2 shows, Greg.
What if I told you they had all the Real Worlds on there?
All of them.
What, are you a spokesperson for Paramount Plus? Like,
no, sir. I just experimented with Paramount Plus a few times. All right, don't worry about what I'm doing over there. Number 7 on the Roper Report, we have a Majora's Mask release date. Kevin, there's also a trailer I linked in here if you want to throw it up there. This is an official tweet from Nintendo where we're also going to go have the trailer playing. Link is dragged into the world of Termina. There it is. Where the moon is falling from the sky. Relive the world's final 72 hours when The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask comes to Nintendo Switch for Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack members on February 25th. Hashtag Nintendo 64. Jordan, as we watch this, where are you? Are you a Majora's Mask fan?
This might surprise you, Greg. I'm one of those people who's a big Zelda fan who has not actually played Majora's Mask. Really wants to play Majora's Mask, just never got around to it. Every single time was like, oh, by the way, it's releasing on 3DS. I'm like, I should pick this up. Something else just comes along and I do that instead. So maybe this will be the time. Maybe this is finally the time. You were going to say it doesn't surprise me because I've reminded every day that I'm turning to dust when I hang out with Blessing. So I know that I'm old. And so the fact that I played Majora's Mask in high school, I know that means your generation was freaking still in diapers or whatever. So it doesn't surprise me that you missed it. But God, I love Majora's Mask.
But
I've heard nothing but good things about it. Like everyone who's played it's like, oh, what if Zelda, but like dark mystery and like talking to people in a hub, and the hub evolves over time. I'm like, that all seems really cool, and it was probably like super transformative, like back in the day when it came out on 64, and I'm like, haven't played it. God, February 25th though.
It's right around the corner. What else do you have to play? There's nothing else coming out around then. It's a quiet time for games right now. It's a perfect time to go back and play an
Nintendo announcing this, CD Projekt Red being like, you know what? Next gen versions of Cyberpunk are out right now. Ubisoft being like, Ezio collection on Switch. I'm like, February and March, no more. Like, stop announcing that like your cool re-release thing is happening during these months. There's too much. March is even busier, I think, than February is. I don't have time for all these new games.
Well, someone think of Jordan, please.
Yeah,
all right?
Me specifically.
Exactly. He's got too much to do over there. Don't worry about it. I hope you play Majora's Mask. It's one of those. I'm not. It's rare that I double back to an old game and replay it all the way through. Like, I was one of the people as a Ocarina of Time superfan that bought that on multiple platforms for a long time until I realized I never fucking played it. And I was like, I gotta stop. I gotta stop doing this. You know what I mean? Like, I keep buying this game expecting I'm gonna get more and more into it, like, because I love it so much, and I never did. So like, the fact that this is on Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack, which I already have, like, I will tinker again with Majora's Mask, but I don't expect to do a full playthrough by any stretch of the imagination.
I'll buy it. At some point, there is going to be a lull, and there's going to be no new games coming out. I'm trying to manifest this energy in the year of our Lord,
April,
2022.
Maybe May. That sounds about right.
Maybe. But that's when we're getting like first spoken, I think, and we'll probably start getting teases of Redfall, because that's scheduled for summer of this year. I don't know. Who knows when I'll have time to play an old game.
I wish you had time to play an old game, but there's so many new games coming out. Jordan, if I wanted to know what new games came to the Mom and Grop shop, where would I go?
Well, I would say that you could go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform, as listed by the KindaFunny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today. Super Toy Cars Off-Road on all the Xboxes and PC. Rover Mechanics Simulator on Switch. Horizon Forbidden West on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. Gravity Runner on Switch. Gem Wizards Tactics on Switch.
What?
Mages and Treasures, Switch. And then Space Flight Simulator on PC. Jordan, we asked people watching live on twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames to go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screwed up, so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe. Kebabs writes in and wants to misquote me. He says, some characters of Forbidden West do reference the ending of the game. I'd stay away from any characters who would have knowledge of it, just to be sure. I didn't say there's no chance of spoilers. I just said I'm not going into main spoiler stuff. Yes, we will put a spoiler tag in the headline. You will be reminded over and over again that this could blow up in your face. You got to roll the dice. What do you want to see? Greg play Horizon, or do you want to stare at the fucking wall and think about your life? The answer's pretty simple, I think, Kebabs.
Jesus.
Nanobiologist comes in and says, Concrete Genie's main character is Ash. Thank you very much. I did need that.
That's what we said.
No, I said Cade, if you remember. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I said Ash in the background.
Kebabs. Hold on. I'm gonna Kev. I'm
lying. I want you to know. I'm like, Jordan. I don't want to lie to you. Jordan, I said something else.
Kevin had you could give him 300 chances. He never would have guessed the Concrete Genie protagonist. If you want to throw up the link I just gave you from PlayStation Taiwan, Kebab says PlayStation Taiwan commissioned artist VOFAN to make some anime style artwork for Horizon Zero Dawn's release. And that's just gorgeous, and that is really good. I do like that a lot. Kevin will have it up in a moment. There it is.
That is gorgeous.
Pretty cool.
There could be a Horizon anime. There could be a Horizon anime. I'd dig it. I'd watch it.
Genshin Impact, you already got it, right? Halo's in that. There you go.
Oh.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sorry. At this point, I'm literally the Chris Pratt meme of like, I don't know what Genshin Impact is, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask. Like, I've turned it on and I've played it, and I don't know, what is Blessing doing every day? What is he doing in there every day? What is Imran doing? I don't know.
Buying
there's a bunch of information.
That's what the game's for.
Let's see what Nano sent me a bunch of stuff here about Dragon Age 4. I don't think we were wrong. I think he's just giving more stuff, so I'm not doing it. Goodbye. Oh, here you go. Nanobiologist then says, can you ask Jordan if he's a Final Fantasy VII remake and Kingdom Hearts 3 person as well? If so, he has Patience of Steel.
Well, here's the great thing about this. Here's the great thing about the Final Fantasy VII thing. I have never played the original Final Fantasy VII. So remake is my first and only experience of playing those games. So really, I wasn't like waiting for anything other than the fact that I remember being like 15 or 16 and people around me being like, Jordan, you have to play Final Fantasy VII. It's one of the greatest video games of all time. I'm like, well, if it's one of the greatest video games of all time, it'll be remastered or remade at some point. History has proven me right. I just had to wait long enough. It's why I haven't played.
Oh wait, Kevin, or am I
Chrono Trigger? Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm like at some point they're gonna remake it.
Sure enough, that works. That does work in our everybody wants to make money off the old ideas. And then finally, you're wrong. Comes from Nanobiologist, who says the Halo TV show releases March 24th. That's right around the corner.
That's
Kevin, get excited.
I thought.
Oof.
You gonna be on the screencast, reacts to every episode, Kevin?
Oh,
see what Master Chief's up.
You know what I mean? Like I think maybe if they just kind of trash they have and give it another go, maybe they get a chance.
Here's the one thing I like Porn Stash from Orange is the New Black, and he's
he's great.
Mm-hmm.
So like that makes me go.
He's Master Chief.
Yeah.
Oh,
it could be good for all we know. I don't think it's going to be, but it could be good.
Hey man,
Stash is Master Chief.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, right?
It's a big day for him.
Today is a big day for him. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been KindaFunny Games Daily. Each and every week down a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show on patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, where you could go and get the post show Jordan and Blessing are about to do, because I'm going to hang out on Twitch and play some Horizon Forbidden West. Don't worry, kebabs, there might be spoilers. If you want to catch that later and you're not watching live, youtube.com/KindaFunnyPlays. Of course, KindaFunny Games Daily will be back on Monday. It'll be Tim and Spawn on Me's Kahlief Adams. Tuesday, it'll be Snowbike Mike and Gary Whitta for a Whitta Wednesday on a Tuesday. Wednesday, it'll be Blessing and Andy. Thursday, it's going to be Tim Geddes and Lucy James from GameSpot. And then Friday, it will be Blessing and KindaFunny Xcast's own Parris Lily. So you're watching live, doing all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Jordan, where can people keep up with you and what would you like to promote?
They can follow me over on Twitter at JMRamee. That's RAMEE. For the most part, I'm mostly just posting about Apex and Silksong, and my coworkers are bullying me over continuing to hope that Silksong is coming out. So if you like just messing with people or watching coworkers bully other coworkers, then please come over, follow, join the conversation, and see me be an absolute clown ahead of every single Nintendo Direct for the rest of 2022. As opposed to work stuff, I have a bunch of previews and features in the pipeline that I cannot talk about because they are all under embargo.
Ooh.
It is review season, and there is a bunch of games on the horizon.
I'm sorry, can I get a check on that? Blessing, can you smell the air? What does it smell like?
I'm smelling. It smells like review season.
It's beautiful. Fragrant.
Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today. You killed it. I'm proud of you, Jordan. You did a great job.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I had a blast.
You're welcome back anytime. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. Even though, you talked a lot of shit about Vita, and if you wanted to take it back, now would be a great time.
The Vita's not great, Greg.
Kevin cut the fucking
he's
stream.
doubling down.
I knew I liked you, Jordan.